I want to talk about one single bombing raid. It lasted 11 hours. When it was over, 568 people were dead. 250,000 square feet of the town were destroyed. Hospitals and schools and 40 places of worship had been destroyed. It was not Gaza. It was not today. That was Coventry, destroyed by the Luftwaffe on the 14th of November 1940. And everybody knows, especially in this part of the world, everybody knows that was a war crime. But if that was a war crime on one night, how much bigger is the war crime of over 100 days of destruction and bombing in Gaza? And that was not done by somebody else. That was done with the full support of this government and the United States government, and they are guilty of war crimes. Now, it's no surprise that with one of the most powerful, best equipped militaries in the world, that Israel can rain destruction on Gaza. But if it's winning the war, it's losing the war of public opinion. Because when you start lecturing the South Africans about apartheid, when you start telling the South Africans that they know less about racism than you do, you are losing the argument among global public opinion.
I am from Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine. We have all seen the death and the destruction that terrorist state Israel is heaping on the Palestinian people. That has got to stop, and there is no excuse for there not being a ceasefire. And what these people who make decisions on our behalf, Rishi Sunak and others, cannot understand is when there's a ceasefire, it stops everyone dying, whether they are Palestinian or whether they are Israeli or from any other country. So it's extremely important that we have that. They haven't come up with the goods. I am delighted that South Africa has taken Israel to the International Court of Justice. And I want an even bigger cheer for South Africa. Thank you, South Africa. You know what apartheid looks like. You know what oppression looks like. And you have come to stand with the Palestinian people to end that. What I will end on now are two things. One, a big message of support to the Palestinian journalists in Gaza. Because where have you got your news from? It wasn't from the BBC, wasn't from Sky, it was from organizations like Al Jazeera. One of their key reporters from Gaza is called Wael Ad-Dahdour. And I want to pay tribute to Wael because, as you know, not only is he an amazing reporter, but what a human being he is. What a resilient Palestinian he is. He lost so many members of his family, including through the targeting, and I say it, targeting of his family in Gaza, and especially his son, eldest son, who was also a journalist who was killed. So we say to you, Wael, we stand with you completely, and we hope you return to Gaza very soon.
Even when medical aid or other aid is able to get into Gaza, it's bombed on the way in. And the lack of food, the lack of water, the lack of sanitation, and the lies that have been told continuously by Israel about safety. Think about this. After the awful days of October the 7th, they told people to move to the south of the Gaza Strip. Now, I've been many times in the Gaza Strip. I know how small it is. I know how difficult people's lives are. They went to the south believing they were in a place of safety and then got bombed while they were trying to hide for safety in a hospital. And there are now 1 million people and more corralled around the Rafah crossing, hoping one day to get to a place of safety, but under bombardment. And some days, as many people die from diarrhea, from wholly preventable conditions, dehydration, hunger, and lack of medicines to deal with wholly preventable conditions. They are dying because of the ongoing siege of Gaza and now destruction of life by overall bombardment of people. And so this is, by any stretch of the imagination, a war crime that is going on. And so we have to speak up against what's going on, however long it takes, however cold and wet the days are here. The people of Gaza, and indeed those under siege in the West Bank, say to me, please raise your voice as loud and long as necessary. It gives us help, it gives us hope, and it gives us heart. And so we've got to carry on doing that.
She was 12 years old. She was at the hospital, Nasir Hospital in Khan Yunis. She had lost her leg in an airstrike, an indiscriminate airstrike. Her mother, her father, her brother, her sister were murdered in that airstrike. And during that short humanitarian ceasefire, she was asked by an interviewer, what is it that you want? Think about it, a 12-year-old girl with no leg. And do you know what she said? She said, I want peace. She didn't attack the Israeli government or the IDF. She says, I want peace and I want to be a doctor so I can treat all of these patients. 2 weeks later, an Israeli tank shell was fired in a safe zone and she was killed. She was killed. It's not just a number. It's a story. It's a story. It was a desire. It was a dream that was all taken away in a matter of seconds. And it's a shame on this government, shame on the opposition for allowing these atrocities to take place. Free Palestine! Free Palestine!